Hello, welcome to the 486th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patron Tamar Shani. I'm Matt Enlow.
And I'm Oren Kaplan, and I just want to say Tamar just doubled her Patreon contribution.
Go.
So if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. We appreciate it.
Yeah, longtime patron, doubled. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you should check out her Instagram at Tamar Shani. She's an actor.
Pretty cool.
Hire her.
Pretty cool.
Speaking of hiring people, you can hire us by giving us some money. Oh, but you know what? We should introduce our guest. Today we have one half of the directing duo Jams and Bash. His name is Jamaal Parham, known as Jams in his directing duo name, and he dropped a ton of knowledge on us.
So good.
I know him. I kind of know him. We were on the same roster together at art class. He moved over to this other company now, WW7, World War 7, which is a cool name for a company. My wife always makes fun of these ridiculous production company names. She's like, "Who are you working with today?" Cardboard Box. And I'm like, "How did you guess the name of the company?"
I would bet that's a real company.
Yeah. I mean, she's always like Raised Speaker. Or I don't know. She's like Spatula. Are they still on the scene?
It does make me think. I like a tweet. It was like restaurants used to be called Dave's Diner, and like now they're called like Thrust and Bone restaurant concept by the consortium.
Right.
Like
there is like L&E Oyster Club. Yeah. That is so funny. Yeah. World War 7. I thought that they had this gimmick that they have 7 directors on the roster. And then I met someone from there and I was like,
no, we just have like 10. I don't know.
Is it
12?
true that you guys like World War 7 because you have 7 directors? And they're like, well, we do have 7 directors, but it has nothing to do with our name. Like it's just coincidence. Like we're happy to have 10 directors. Yeah. But anyhow, so Jamaal had a party that you and I went to. That's I think probably where you met him. And I kind of just know him from like Instagram and around, and him and Bash, they direct a lot of really cool commercials. They do movies, they do film, TV, everything. But I feel like our conversation with him, we got a lot of business knowledge about like kind of how to brand yourself as a director, we didn't talk specifically about getting work, but I feel like everything
is about getting work. Yeah.
He talked to us about how they become people that you think about when you want to hire someone to direct your stuff.
But I want to really highlight, none of it is gross.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all thoughtful. It's all sincere. It's all organic. And, like I say many times on the show, I think people think that networking can be icky. And there's a version of it that is very icky. And none of us are endorsing you act icky around people. But like, these are just ways in which you can be memorable, show up, and like bring a little pizzazz and life and joy to work. That's pretty cool. It was really frankly inspiring conversation. It was really fun. And I think is a lesson in clear voice and letting that voice carry through in all the different ways in which you interact with your craft and business. Right?
Yeah. No, it's cool. I do think that, you sometimes allude to networking. Some people think it's like icky or gross or whatever. I feel like that has evolved so much since COVID. I do think it used to be like, ooh, let's go to the mixer and see who we can talk to and see if we can get a business card and like get a meeting or whatever. I do think now it is like so social media. It's like, I'm going to make it my thing and I'm going to post it and promote it and I'll sponsor it,
that mentality, that kind of gross mentality ends up being.
Yeah. Or is it icky? Like to me, it's like
placed onto social media. Yeah.
The icky thing is when like some random, colorist reaches out to me and is like, "Hey, I love your work. I'd love to take you out for coffee." It's not icky. It's just like
pushy.
It's just why are we going to go out for coffee? Can't we just get on a Zoom, if anything, or just send me your work? But I feel like the whole dynamics of how we meet people are just totally different. Jamaal said at one point, he's like, "Go to a bar once a week and try to talk to one person." And I'm like, I will. That is something I will never do.
Well, and I think that probably worked for him, not knowing him super well, but just having had an hour conversation with him. I think everyone has different skills and different vibes, and I think like he's a guy who's very easy to talk to. Yeah, I bet his hit ratio is pretty high.
Yeah, and he seems pretty cool. He dresses cool.
Yeah, but I think he does dress cool. He had cool nails. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that later in the conversation. But I don't think that's it. I think that's part of it for sure. Like the way you present does make you more approachable, but I think he's just like very fluid in conversation,
Yeah.
That's 90% of the lift there.
He thinks directing is hosting. So I could see him being a greaser of conversation. Anyway, it's a really cool talk. He's really cool. But before we hop in with him, do you want to tell people about our Patreon real quick?
We've had a handful of new patrons in the last few weeks. And I think it is definitely thanks to our drive to 200 patrons before our 500th episode. As I've mentioned every time, our costs have gone up. We're spending a little bit more money on the show. And a couple bucks a month goes a long way towards helping us out.
Well, Matt made a really bad deal when we started on the show, which is he decided to pay the editors in eggs because you were like, we're going to save so much money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, of course, screwed. Eggs are very expensive.
Yep. What was I thinking?
And then I pitched switching to avocados, and now those are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's why
we need our Patreon patrons to come grow. You can help us out. You can give us $1, $2. Actually, I think according to your challenge here, it doesn't matter how much people are giving us, as long as they're patrons.
Yeah, that's true. And the math more or less shakes out to be okay. Yeah. The minimum you can patronize is $1, so it would be fine. Yeah. $2, $3, whatever you can afford.
Yeah. They say if you do $3 a month in 30 years, it'll turn into $275. So thank you. But no, patreon.com/justshootitpod is the way you can do it. We really appreciate it. It helps us pay for our editors and everything else. And it just honestly, like we had Emilio Torres, like a patron, email us about his first commercial directing job. And Daniel Zagayer, who I was talking to on Instagram, and I actually ran into him at a coffee shop here by my house. And I feel like the patrons in our life, there's just a slightly stronger connection to them as an audience member. So, if you want to be 1% more connected to us, patreon.com/justshootitpod. Okay. Awesome. Any more guilt-inducing pushing we can do? Salesmanship?
Nope. Let's hop into an hour of truly priceless advice from Jams and Batch. Are you a pickleball guy?
I'm a big pickleball guy. Yeah.
What do you call pickleball people? Like picklers?
They say like pickleballers, but I'm like, that sounds like gross in like a weird, like urban with a Z kind of way. You know what I mean? Just like, I don't know. But it's something I picked up during the strikes. Like, 'cause I just wouldn't do anything during the day,
Yeah.
So,
well, my dad will be excited.
He loves
it. Yeah.
Is he a pickleballer?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're here with one half of the directing duo Jams and Bash, Jamaal. Jams.
What's up, y'all?
In the first position. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Jamaal was like, usually, for the film stuff, we like to do it together, but I'll make an exception. I was like, when Bash is back in town, we'll have you guys both on the podcast.
There you go. Yeah. I feel like I might be even have mentioned this on the podcast, or maybe just casually. You guys threw a party when you came out to LA, and was kind of like, it was like a little bit of like a hey, we're here in LA. How long have you guys been in LA actually? I mean, I don't want to presume.
I mean, it's kind of weird because it's like Bash has been out here, I think, for almost 2 years now. I live in New York, like that's where I pay rent, but I've only been out there about like 2 months this entire year.
Gotcha.
So and I grew up here. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. So
right
for
on.
me, it's
Awesome.
like easy to come back and it's home.
Your brother lives here too, right?
My brother lives here. Yeah. And my mom. So
family. Yeah.
Here, so
well, you throw great parties. And one of the fun features of the party was you had like a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Like in the corner, just like giving people tattoos, which I've seen at like film festivals before, but never just like at a party. Unless it was like stick and poke, like gutter funky, you know what I mean? Like you're like, I don't want hepatitis or whatever you get.
Can I tell you about that party though? Something interesting is, Matt and I, we have young children. We are not cool in any way. And then you were like on Instagram, I think we were talking, and you were like, I'm around a party, you should come by. And then I think maybe Sloan or someone else mentioned it or something. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'll know more than one person there.
Sure. Yeah.
But just to be safe, I'm like, Matt, you should come to this party with me. And Tom Morris, another director buddy of ours, it's like, you guys should come. Jams and Bash are having a bash, unfortunately. It's too obvious. A jam and a bash. And I don't know why you guys said yes, because, 9 out of 10 times we like find some excuse to not go to things.
Right.
But we went. And then ever since that party, we're like, man, you guys had a really good collection of people there.
Yeah.
And it led to not that it was a networking event. It was just like a fun party, but it led to a lot of conversations and people that we, I met, we talked to a casting director, your casting director there, who kind of met some from
ladies,
from Mattel that we've had lunch with since. We were chatting with, production company people. Bash's wife, I don't know if you know this, but she directs Ted Lasso, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, she won an Emmy
with her.
Ted Lasso.
Hey, congrats. Yeah, cool.
So it was like, we were like, ooh, how can we throw a party with, remember, the other day I was like, how much does that party cost?
You're
like, how can we do a party like that? What's your secret to like cultivating like such cool people to hang out with?
I mean, I think it's just like the way that we like run our lives and our careers, you know what I mean? I think like from the jump, like and we'll talk a little bit about the origin, but it's like from starting where we started, we had to have something else because like we couldn't compete with the work that we were wanting to get, you know what I mean? And the reel just wasn't there because of the clients we had.
Well, maybe that's a great segue to just tell us where you started.
Because like literally everyone is like, yes, me too.
I mean, and it's really that truly that like kind of dress for the job you want vibe. And it was like, yo, like the clients that we worked with, and we were doing a lot of work for Broadway, and I'll kind of get to that part in a second, but it was like we had a lot of return business. And I think that's the success of a great commercial director is...
A clarifying question. When you say Broadway, you don't mean Broadway video.
No. Sorry.
Like theater.
We were doing things
like
for theater
Broadway.
And live events and live entertainment, things on Broadway, the West End, anything you sell a ticket to.
And you and Bash were working to get like at a company together, right?
Yeah, he was the ECD and I was the head of content at an ad agency called AKA in New York. That's where we met.
Oh, don't they have another name?
No, I don't think so.
No, that.
Sorry, I like to give our
No, because usually people are like, don't you mean AKQA? And I'm like, no, I don't. But yeah, it was a theater agency and it was not something that I think I ever saw myself in, but the work was fun and we got to do a bunch of varied things. You know what I mean?
Wait, did you come from advertising or from film?
I was an editor. So I was a commercial editor for about 8 to 10 years before this. And I went to AKA to be their in-house editor, essentially. Like I got a freelance gig there and I met Bash. We just talked about this in an interview recently, but basically like we had this really kind of shitty set of parameters for this project. We had like 28 seconds of footage to cut like a 30-second teaser for a thing. And we were like, well, there's not enough footage. And we kind of sat down and spent the weekend like completely unpaid. I was like a freelancer. I was like, yeah, hey, like I like hanging out with you. Like we'll make this weird thing. I know a little bit of After Effects. Like you got some weird ideas. And we literally spent the weekend by ourselves, like hammering over like, computer, coming up with this animated spot for Matilda the musical when it was announced that it was coming to Broadway. So presented it on Monday to the clients, and they were like, "No, absolutely not! Like this is so weird,
go differently."
Wait, no, they're like, "This is so bizarre and weird and strange," and we were like, "Okay." But we had such a good time working together. It was like the first time I had met like a creative partner that it was like just instantly, it was like, "Oh, we get each other." You know what I mean? And we had a lot of fun working together. Like it truly was like a party the entire time. And I think that kind of goes to our, like the vibe that we want to put out there. It's like, we're very serious, like filmmakers, and we can do all that technical stuff, but it's also like, we're kind of a blast to hang out with and collaborate with. And like, we want it to be fun and joyful. And so he convinced me to come in-house there. And we started what was then called the broadcast department, later changed to the content department. But it was started with just me on an iMac. And when we left like 11 years later, it's like 10 to 12 people in that department doing, $7-8 million in sales, like, just from like us starting these ideas, you know what I mean? And it was quite, we call it like the pressure cooker, because we had to do everything that came to the door, you know what I mean? So it's like whether it's a musical or a drama, comedy, like whatever it was, it's like you got to have a take and it's got to be good, But we had a lot of success doing that, and it solidified our partnership in a really, really good way.
That's awesome. You can tell that Jamaal is business minded because you say that you had $7 to $8 million worth of sales. Which is like Matt and I have been doing directing for like so many years, and it literally just occurred to us recently to even think about our work as like how much we bill,
how much we bill,
the revenue
how
we
much
generate.
we convert. you know, like uptick in sales, like ROI, all that stuff. Like no one ever tells you any of that stuff. You have to ask for it, right? Yeah.
I was very lucky that having to run a production department, I learned a lot of that, you know, and it was like really trial by fire because I was like looking at spreadsheets. I was like, what's a P&L? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was like, don't they just give us money and we spend it and then we make a thing? And it was like one of those things that I had to learn, but it kind of changed the way I think about advertising and the way I think about making commercials and like making sure that we're running our business like a business, but also that we're delivering to a client at the same time. You know what I mean?
There's a fly in my garage that is driving me insane. And I'm just surrounded by computer equipment, so I can't like...
It's like that. Sorry. Did you ever see the Uncle Jemima's Mashed Liquor sketch on SNL?
Yeah.
Where it's like Tracy Morgan, he's like, what you swatting at?
I was going to say... one of these, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I should do that. I think about this all the time. I went to film school so that I wouldn't have to look at spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And I was so resistant to it. And if you want to be a filmmaker, you're gonna look at spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So
if you want to be if you want to be a
like if you want it to be a job, a career,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you want it to be a hobby, for sure, just go mess around. But like if you want to make movies, like I don't believe that there's really filmmakers out there nowadays. You know, maybe like studio guys, but like most filmmakers, even the studio guys, are self-producing in meaningful ways. And that means you have to crunch numbers. You have to be a business person, all that stuff. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that.
And then
get over it, you know?
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
It's like, it's part of it. Like, and, you know, as like we were saying earlier with the parties, it's like, that is that's a new business outreach for us. You know what I mean? And I think whether it's like, if there's agencies or studio execs or just connections that we're making there, like for us, that's an investment that we want to make in our filmmaking community, but it also goes in our yearly budget. You know what I mean? It's like, we're looking at that as like, this is kind of the cost of doing business. And, you know, we're yearly throwing Christmas parties in New York. And now that we're both in LA a little bit more, we're doing it out here, but it's one of those things that like, you can chart the return and like, oh, we see clients that like have a bit more of like a personal connection with you because they got an invite to a thing and like you made time to like really show that you're a real person, not just like a name on a treatment. You know what I mean? And it's stuff like that I feel like goes a long way.
Yeah. I feel like so much of what we talk about on this show is like how you get work, right?
Yeah.
And we're always like, people are aware of like, oh, social media and like the different ways that you can do outreach.
Sure.
I'm like so obsessed with LinkedIn right now. It's like so nerdy, but like we're just trying to really like manufacture the most authentic and coolest and most fun touch points, right?
Yes.
So whether that's like the easiest is like, hey, new work alert. Like, I'm really proud of this. Let me talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But a party is even better. Like, who doesn't want to go to a party with cool people, right?
Yeah. And it's also a memory, right? It's like, it's something that you're making your client base and your community active in. Like, you are inviting them into your house in a way. And it's like, I always get kind of stressed about like making sure that I'm a good host at these things. And I think a lot of directing is hosting, you know, and it is one of those things that like, you want to make sure that experience is good so that people remember and they want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? And like you guys said, like you guys met people and had meetings and like, that's great for us.
We're giving a percentage.
Like, because when I get my agent cut at the end.
But wait, I do like truly though, like, oh, we'll be like, oh yeah, we met at the Jameson Bash party. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like even that is a little touch point, right? Like again, we're resurfacing your name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and positive affinity thanks to the relationships that you created.
Yeah.
When you said directing is kind of like hosting, I think that's it's an interesting metaphor. And I guess to me, it seems like that, like you're kind of hosting the agency at the production, you know, your clients or whoever paying. But do you feel like you're hosting the crew and on all sides?
I think so. Or? Yeah, because I think you have to create an environment that's like, lets everyone be comfortable, you know? Like we do so much comedy stuff and a lot of the things that we think about before we're on set is like, how is this environment going to feel for everybody there so that they're comfortable laughing, so that they're like in a place where they are comfortable contributing in within the lane that they should be contributing. You know what I mean? And like making sure that it doesn't feel like stuffy and there's not this like artifice, you know?
Yeah, wait, so how do you do that?
Truly,
I'm taking notes.
Like, it's a lot of trial and error, but it's like, it starts with a scout. It's like making sure that like the place is comfortable and like people have places to sit and places where they don't feel like they're in the way, but they're able to like have a peek and see what's going on. You know what I mean? And like even down to the kind of crafty that's served and like the way that you talk to people and greet people. And like,
do you weigh in on crafty? Are you like?
I do kind of, because I'm just like a really picky eater. I'm like, like, these are the things that I want to have there, but I think that it's like,
the bananas also like, don't have to be organic, but the berries do.
It's like, you got to have Red Bull and green juice, some Sour Patch Kids, Cheez-Its. But no, it's more
not as healthy as I was expecting.
Just making sure that people have things that aren't going to like crash, you know what I mean, halfway through the day, and like things that like, it's like, when we do these low budget things, it's like you see the pizza roll out and you're like, oh, come on, man, you're going to kill the end of our shoot. Like, it's like everyone's going to be dead when we're trying to like power through the last 4 shots that, you know, we had to pile in. So it's like stuff like that, you know?
I'm like the only one that loves pizza.
I love pizza. I just don't think it's like brain fuel.
If you're done and it's a courtesy, then it's fine. Like, I'm grabbing a slice, like, it's a pizza as I'm driving away. That's fine.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay, fine. You did have a pizza making station at your party as well.
That's true.
We did. We also had pizzas. Pizzas, tattoos, photo booths. It's the jams in Bash Way.
We were talking about the business of it all, and kind of how networking is part of it, goes on your expense list. I mean, it's so smart. Even when you're talking about like revenue, like if you throw a party and it costs you $5,000 and then you make connections that end up, you know, leading to like $1 million worth of business.
Sure. Yeah. Then it's worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we do try to track that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like to the dollar that way, but it's like, we know when it's like, oh, this person we met at this party, you know what I mean? And now we're in a bid pool for something, or like, this was an agency that we were really trying to break into. And like, now they're calling the reps about us. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that. I think that people don't think about, but it's also, we weren't thinking about this at the beginning either. You know what I mean? At the beginning, it was just like, oh, let's have a party.
And then you were like, wait a minute. Like, this worked. Yeah, totally.
Well, you're seeing nowadays, I see on Instagram all the time, like directors and production companies boosting their work, like as a sponsored ad. It's like someone else's commercial, not the company paying for me to see it, but the director or the production company. I'm like, oh, I wonder if this is
that worth it? Yeah. And I think to your
way to promote
point,
yourself.
It's like, it's hard to pinpoint. There's no silver bullet of like, oh, I met this person at this party and then X, Y, Z. And, you know, like it's a halo effect, right?
It's all part of the triangulation of relationships and opportunities, right?
Yeah. And we've done targeted kind of boosted social campaigns when we're going after like more film and TV stuff, like when we're trying to penetrate a market that like might not.
Can you give us an example?
Commercial work.
Yeah.
Not one that I can use names, but there was a movie that we were going after that it was an open directing assignment. And, you know, we've done a like really low budget feature for SoundCloud, and we did like a doc for ESPN and Hulu, but we didn't have like the resume that maybe everyone else had. But there's a way when you're doing those boosted posts where you can like really geo-target and like tune the affinity. So it's like, all right, let's model what some execs who might be on Instagram are looking at.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And one of my theories for, you know, I'm a big sports fan, and like Wayne Gretzky used to say this thing where he was like, I was good not because I was where the puck was, I was where the puck was going to go. And that's kind of what we do with our PR and our social, is like, how are we in places where the decision makers are looking when they're not working? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want like the Deadline article. I don't want the like Little Black Book article. Like, all of that stuff is work. How are we in places where you can notice us when you're in your downtime, when you're like discovering something cool, when you're like trying to find a new thing, you know what I mean? Where your mind is a little more open and receptive. So we try to like, our PR strategy and our social strategy is like very much attuned to that.
Smart. Yeah.
That is like one of the smartest things I've heard on the show.
Yeah, me too.
But
we've only done 486 episodes. Don't give too much credit.
See you later, guys. I'm just going to go lay down for
no. I mean, we have talked about, we use this term, I feel like we haven't used it for a while, but like Hollywood viral.
Hollywood viral.
Where we have 20,000 views, but it's like everyone at every agency, you know.
Yeah, they're valuable. Like the value per view is up, and it's like you want that thing that's like there's not water cooler talk anymore, but you want the thing that like someone's forwarding to somebody else. You know what I mean?
Oh, do you hear about this? Well, yesterday I was on a call with an agency in Ohio. Super big campaign. We're talking about they're super cool, hip. Everyone has very cool tattoos and whatnot. And I mentioned the show The Studio, and they didn't know it. They're like, "Oh, The Studio? What?"
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
yeah,
it's Seth Rogen, Apple TV." They're like, "Oh, yeah, no, we've seen Hacks."
Like 5 of the 6 like comedic actor
nominations
for The Studio.
Yeah, but it's like you forget sometimes that we are just in such a bubble.
Yeah, we're in little bubbles and silos and victim to individual algorithms. You know what I mean?
But what you're saying is take advantage of it. You
find
can target that bubble.
Yeah,
of the people that might hire you. Yeah, that is smart. And it's funny because you guys are repped. You have very good reps, right? You're with Brillstein, you're with CAA, you're with World War 7. You guys are repped like by A-list, everyone.
Yes.
But you're still very involved in pinpointing your PR strategy, or you want to get on a movie, you want to meet an agency, you want to work with a brand or a client or an athlete. You're not being like, well, we're just cool and they'll find us eventually.
Exactly. I mean, I don't like, and maybe this is a little bit of my upbringing, you know what I mean? But I don't kind of ever expect to just sit back and have something be handed to me, you know? And it's like, I think that part of the job as a director, as a director, as a career, you know what I mean, is doing that. Like you have to take advantage of it. And the thing is like, I love my reps. I think, you know, like you said, we have some of the best people in the business and they have really never led us astray. But you also want to like make the job like 3% easier for them. You know what I mean? Like you need to give them something that to like sell, to like hold on to, and like you have to be active in that.
Or you make the job, like 50% easier for the people you're targeting, right? If like some executive sees something you made or is cool and is like, "Oh, who are these guys?" Like maybe maybe I'll work with them. Oh, they're with CAA. Clearly they've been vetted. Someone else has said they're legit.
And that's the brand name thing. It's like, I think that like a lot of times you can get lost in these agencies, and like we've done TV work. Like I said, we have like a small movie resume, but you don't want to get lost in that shuffle. And I think it can, some people, you know, making that transition from commercial to film and TV is hard because people don't understand like the reps work a little differently over there. And like, it's not as like one-on-one attention as you probably expect right away. And if you don't push, you know what I mean? Like, but in the right way and politely, and like, just make sure that it can be easy for them. It becomes easier. So otherwise you're just going to be a name on a list that they pass around the studios. And like, you might get a general, but it's like, you need to activate that in some way, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I think also like we've been doing this a long time and know lots of filmmakers, and we all can think of people who were super talented, really gifted filmmakers who haven't gone the distance. And it's because of the lack of that business sense and mentality. Like the biggest stars in the world still hustle. They just hustle at a higher level than we realize.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all of the biggest movie stars, they all have like a tequila brand.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's not a coincidence.
Yeah. Know? And they're all on the red carpet taking photos, and they're all like, you know what I mean? There's a strategy around all that stuff. They're not doing it because they like it. You know what I mean? Like,
red carpets are not fun. People don't realize that. They think,
well, they're fun for us, for the fans.
Sort of. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember like 5 years ago, Mark Wahlberg was on like one of those Oscars roundtables for The Fighter or some movie he was nominated for. And they're like, and he was a producer on that movie or something. They're like, "What? So you're producing also?" He's like, "Yeah, like why would anyone give me this part unless I was the producer?" Like they'll go to Brad Pitt.
You know what I mean?
And so it's like, you're like, oh, Mark Wahlberg feels like he's got to hustle, you know?
Yeah.
Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg feel like they have to hustle and make their own things because otherwise.
And honestly, like when you come with that attitude too, like people want to work harder to get your stuff made because you're not just sitting back being like, "Oh, give it to me." You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have that, like, it's a partnership. And you need it to be a partnership, you know? And I think a lot of people sit back and have that gimme attitude. And that's kind of where you can get lost in the sauce. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, It's funny. A friend of mine is very close to a very famous actor that's in. He's like the lead actor in like 3 movies in theaters right now, and he told me that like 3 years ago they were hanging out together, and that guy was like, "I don't think I'm ever going to work again. Like my career's over. Like I don't." He did some show where like you barely see his face, and then he did a couple other small things, and he's like, "It's done. I'm done."
Right.
And then now. And so it's like, I feel like everyone that you think is like, has things coming to them is still just like hustling like crazy. And so obviously
it's crazy.
Who are maybe less famous. Definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back real quick to you and Bash at AKA.
Yeah.
So how did you guys were doing stuff for Broadway, which seems like a really cool niche, because it's like, it's musical, it's theatrical. You're working with big stars, big names,
money
big
there.
money.
Yeah, big brands.
But it's like
not
probably
not money like you think there would be.
Sure, that makes sense.
Did you watch Smash? Executive produced by Steven Spielberg. I feel like it's people that put on these plays. Aren't they like all crazy rich people? It's like the F1 of the arts.
Sure, a little bit. I could like the economics of how Broadway works is so bizarre to me. Like I don't understand why anyone would ever invest their money in this. Like 90% of the time, you're not going to get your money back, and the show is going to be a failure. You know what I mean? So it's like once the money starts to trickle down to the advertising, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And you are often the one who's like tasked with like, you better keep the show open. You know what I mean? Like you better come up with like an amazing.
Give you our $25,000, or else Christian Chenoweth walks.
Exactly. But we used to say it's like working with a bunch of like very small mom and pop shops that you're like, the brand is the person you are directly talking to, like the person whose money is on the line. You know what I mean? And like you're having to make these high level creative decisions, and it's advertising. So you're like, yeah, we have a bunch of data and analytics and like this and that, and we can like make an educated guess as much as we can, but the risk is big, and they don't have the safety net that like a big brand might have. You know what I mean? Like one of these big box stores or like a tech brand or something is like, then I have like a couple years of runway to see if something works.
Yeah. They're also trying 20 different things.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I think for us, when we came into the industry, there's obviously like very specifically also like in New York, there's like a storied history of like Broadway commercials. And then I think there's a point when like everyone kind of saw Broadway spots and they're like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of like cameras in the back of the theater, you're filming the stage and
like voiceovers and like pull quotes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And just like big quotes and like what they
someday
they
this will be in a taxi cab
in a world of spam.
And Bash and I just didn't really have any desire to do that part of it. We were like, if we're going to do this, let's figure out a way to make the product that you see in the theater, the thing that is actually worth $200-$300 a seat. You know what I mean? Like, let's take that experience and figure out how to film it and like do it in a way that actually doesn't make it seem cheap. You know what I mean? And it was a struggle for years. We just couldn't get stuff past like budget. You know what I mean? It's like you would get like $25,000-$50,000 for a spot. And what also screws you is like all of those theaters are union and SAG. So it's like balloons your budget. And it's like, now I see why you guys were just like with a camera in the back of that.
Like, I don't know.
If I try to bring a jib in here, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the budget. But we just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And, you know, the first official spot that we ever directed together was for a show called All the Way, starring Bryan Cranston. And it was one of those moments where we shot it out here in LA at Siren Studios on the Sunset and Gower, and walking on set and being like, the first person I'm going to direct is Bryan Cranston. It's like, I guess I'm really doing this now. You know what I mean? This is
Wait, how did you get that? Is it because you had done all these other things?
Yeah, like we wrote the treatment, we pitched it, like we were like, you know, and we were earlier on in our journey together. It's like we were writing the treatments, we were coming up with the concepts. We'd hire a director to do the directing part, and then I would be editing and he would be creative directing. You know?
Yeah, sure.
And it was like, wait, why aren't we?
And how did you find directors?
Part in the middle. I mean, we just reach out to like, there's like a very specific kind of pool of like Broadway production companies, and those folks were wonderful to us, and like, but it just got to a point where it's like, we want to push this a little further. You know what I mean? And I think that we were in a position that the higher ups at AKA trusted us, and they saw that we had kind of a fire and a passion and a knowledge and a know-how that they were able to stand behind us and say to the producers, like, no, these are the guys, you know what I mean?
Also, were you getting a fee bump? Or are they saving money?
No.
Right? So it's like, oh, okay.
Well, that was the thing.
We just saved 5 figures on a small budget, you know? Like, yeah.
But it was also like, we were also kind of all making that up as we went along.
Sure.
Like in the early days of that department, it's like, I didn't know how to like produce, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
sure.
we were making budgets in like fucking Excel and just like camera, you know what I mean? And like light.
Camera, $100.
It's like, oh no, you need a person too.
Wait, so what was your pitch for the Bryan Cranston thing? I'm curious what.
So the spot is like in the show he plays LBJ, the president, and
that's right.
It's structured around a kind of bunch of events pre-Vietnam War. So what we did was we were like, oh, it'd be cool if we had like television on just like in a white void. We push to the television, and then you actually push through the television, and you're in the Oval Office. And so we made a version of that as like an animatic, and then we did like a rip, which is like cool, like presidential footage and music, and just like these like, you know, like drums going and things like that. And they bought it. It took like a couple of rounds of just like tweaking, like, well, the quote's going to say this, and then this is going to be this, but it's like the concept they bought into kind of almost immediately, and then let us go do it. Like, and that was, it was a crazy kind of first directing experience. You know what I mean? It's like into the deep end immediately, you know?
How was Bryan Cranston?
One of the best, to this day, one of the best people I've ever worked with. Like he was a little late because he'd just gotten, I think, either the Golden Globe or the Emmy nomination for the last season of Breaking Bad. And he was doing press.
Oh, right.
And was it true? I heard he was cooking meth on set. Or
he was
very
like really method. Like, exactly.
Yeah. He's meth ed actor.
Yeah. But he went around and apologized to everybody for being late. And like, it was one of the like things that I'm just like, oh, this is like, again, like you pick up things and you're like, you're nice to people. You know what I mean? Like you're nice to people, and people want to do the work and they don't mind, you know what I mean? And like, we understand that we're all human. But it was one of the very like lessons I learned early on about how to run a set. And it's like kindness and joy and like pride behind the job that you're doing, you know what I mean? And respect for other people's time. And all of that, I think, goes a long way, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you do this, you direct this and are you guys a directing duo at this point?
Yes. Yeah. We didn't have a name. I mean, it was just like Jamaal and Bashan are directing this thing, you know what I mean? And I think at some point we realized that like our nicknames, when you put them together, sounded really fun. You know, it's like a jam and a bash. Like, and it's just like one of those
pretty
things
freaking awesome.
Yeah, and there's like I'm sure a poet would be able to tell you what type of rhyme it is, but like the S and the A and like the length of
like, you know, just it
fits to it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And you guys do a lot of kind of musical percussive stuff too, which is like I feel like
It's
sports
like, again,
and
it's
the
like in the
musicals and the kind of dancing and all those things that that you guys do. It feels like there's like
it feels like we're the guys
a rhythm to it.
That stuff. And part of that too is like, to go back to the business side of this for a second, it's like we for a while were Jams X Bash and found probably about 2 years ago, we were like, oh, this branding feels a little dated. And we went to our friends at Sunday Afternoon, which is a great design and branding agency. One of our really close friends, Rich too, is the principal there. And they did a rebrand for us, but it was like looking at the work, looking at the kind of work we're doing, looking at the kind of work we want to be doing. And like, how do we take that spirit and like fit it into a logo and an idea and an ethos, you know what I mean?
Only someone that comes from advertising would ever have, like that would never occur to me. Like,
or we were literally just talking about this the other day, because I don't know if you know Bonaparte. There's another directing duo.
Bonnie and Allison.
And I can't remember if it's Bonnie or Allison, but one of them is married to like a branding expert. They talk about it on the show, you know, like they did the cool name and then they like put together like a deck and they always wear jumpsuits.
Yeah, they
and,
do their jumpsuits on set and all that stuff.
And I was like, like you just like,
oddly enough, when they go skydiving yes, they wear just regular casual street clothes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did talk to them. And I think at the time my mind was equally blown to now, but just even knowing that Jams X Bash versus Jams and Bash has rolls off the tongue so nicely. It's like, it reminds me of the episode of Startup, you know, one of the G podcasts where they go and they're like, our company is called the American Podcast Company. And they're like, that name sucks. You should be called Gimlet Media, you know? And it's like, and everyone's like, Gimlet, what a weird name. Like, should I go to one of these branding experts? And they're like, Oren Kaplan, what a boring name.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like changing your name. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think it's like, what's your mark? What's the like logo that's on all your stuff? How's the way you present yourself? Like, because it takes, I think like designers, specifically like type designers and people who deal with brand identities and things like that, they think about the world in a totally different way that I just don't see. Bash has that background. Like he's a graphic designer, and that's where he kind of like came up in the industry. So he sees it in a way that I don't see it. But like going to that group of my friends, I'm just like, oh, like, of course you get why this color has this emotional response and like why your deck should feel like this. And you know what I mean? Stuff that's like, I didn't think about that. I just thought it looked cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. The other thing I love about it and why I've been thinking about it though, is like, I think we all obsess about our careers and our work and our website and our reels and all that stuff. But I know I don't have a ton of objectivity. Do you know, like I'd be like, I love this spot because like, I think the color grade is perfect.
Yeah.
Or what I was hoping for, not whether it really matches the brief enough for the reel or whatever it may be. And that goes all the way through to like, you know, what's the top of your website?
Yeah.
How do you refer to yourself? Is my bio too wordy? All of that stuff, an expert can just cut through the noise on, right?
Yeah. And I think that's too, like, even if you're not going to like a branding agency or designers, like even having those conversations with your reps, you know what I mean? It's like, what's the stuff that like people are responding to? What will help you tell the story that you're trying to tell to get us the work? You know what I mean? And like having those, we try to have regular check-ins with our reps. And
when you say reps, do you mean like your agent? You mean
I mean our commercial reps and you know the powers that be at World War 7. And then we do a version of that with our film and TV reps, but we do it yearly. So we'll do kind of like a goals, like a recap of like, these are the wins and losses of last year. Here's where we're trying to go this year. Like, and kind of it's a yearly reset as opposed to commercial, which just happens faster. So you kind of need to do it more frequently, you know?
How frequently do you do it for commercials?
Like every couple of months, you know?
Yeah. Cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Matt is in a super analytical phase, like, and it's fun seeing
I'll show you
him
some
ask questions.
After this.
Yeah. Because he is like studying like, oh, how frequently should I talk to this person? And like, how many people should like, and it's like, there is a numbers game element to it. That's interesting. But I mean, I guess kind of on that topic, but also on the bigger topic of filmmaking, I think a lot of like, I know I'm personally like very focused on commercials right now. I have like, you know, some kind of narrative projects in the ether, but nothing that I'm like spending a significant amount of time on. Matt's like a little more balanced, but you know, we're also
trying to make a living.
We're also focused on being employed to some degree. Which not that you guys aren't, but you guys seem to be firing on the TV, film, commercial cylinders like in equal parts. Like tell me how you wake up in the morning. How do you know what to work on? Are you writing a script? Are you pitching a TV show? Are you having a meeting? Are you checking in with your reps?
Yeah, it's all kind of like, I'm a big scheduler, so it's like, and it's not like I don't have like an app, or I do have an app, but it's like mostly like I have a little notebook that I carry around. You know what I mean?
What's
and it's
app?
like here, cut it by priority. I use Fantastical.
Okay,
my
cool.
scheduling app.
Noted.
But I also have like a small black like Rhodia notebook that I just like keep, and it's like, okay, kind of here are the priorities of the day. It's like a modified version of the like bullet journal system that I just kind of use for me, and that helps me first get my brain around like what needs to happen today.
Every morning,
yeah. Because there's also like, there's two of us, right? So it's like, we need to split responsibilities. Like our lives are very different. Like Bash has 2 kids. I don't have any kids. You know what I mean? Like I live in New York most of the time. He's in Los Angeles. So when we have these touch bases, we need to have an agenda. You know what I mean? To say like, here are the things that we want to talk about. We also both get really excited about ideas and we'll distract each other. So if there's not a list, then we've just spent like 3 hours of FaceTime.
You guys are at the ice cream shop, at the coffee shop, trying to do sandwiches.
Like we're supposed to do.
How do you accommodate for, you know, incoming boards and pitches? And because I have a schedule like that. It's all well and good. Today's a good example. Like everything got derailed because like a producer texted me at 10:30. You know what I mean?
I mean, we try to plan for it. It never goes according to plan. We have this big joke that it's like when it gets kind of slow and we want work to come in, like plan a vacation or like a family event.
Sure.
And then like all of a sudden it's like the work's gonna flow.
Yeah.
But it's really like, I try to compartmentalize my brain. I try to separate my day into commercial and film and TV as much as I can. So it's like, I'm not jumping between the two because my mind just can't do it. Like it's two kind of different muscles, you know? But that's kind of the extent of like how much I can control it, you know? And then from there, it's like, let's go. Like, let's like buckle in and see what happens. You know, we are in a situation right now where we have a movie that's in development and like pretty close to going, hopefully fingers crossed, you know, but we also still, like you guys said earlier, like we all need to pay the bill. So it's like that commercial stuff we're still chasing. And we were in a situation today where like Bash had flown to London and we had some changes that had come in on the deck that's going out to pitch for this movie. But then we also got some boards in and it's like trying to coordinate schedules across like 3 different time zones, as well as like, what is the actual priority? Is it the movie that like might happen or the commercial that we might get? You know what I mean? And like, how do you like, where
that'll
do you
be done
focus?
soon? And like the,
you know,
it's so crazy that our jobs, our lives are scheduled around things that might happen.
It might happen.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I love gambling so much. You know what I mean?
Oh, do you?
You know, Jason Blum was on The Town the other day talking about Megan flopping. And he kept saying like, you know, this business is so crazy and that's what makes it exciting. Yeah. And I thought, what a sane way to rationalize just like the naive optimism we have to have in order to just do 100%. This. You know what I mean? You just sort of be like, well, I bet I'll make some money soon.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing is like, I like, you know, it's like, I get a rush off that juice. You know what I mean? It's like
100%.
The line from Heat is like, the action is the juice, man. It's like, I crash when there's like nothing going on. You know what I mean? And it's like, the more that we can kind of ratchet up the tension and the stakes, and it's like, let's go.
The more you get done. Yeah.
I'm like, how do I decouple my self-worth from my work? And you're saying the opposite. You're saying let's go.
No. It's very different because my self-worth is like, I can do that. But it's like there is an adrenaline rush that I get from like doing the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think like you got to decouple your self-worth in this industry. Like I've been told no so many times that it's like, it probably doesn't even faze me anymore. You know what I mean? I was speaking to these NYU kids recently. I got invited to like speak in a class and they were talking about like not having come up in film school during COVID. Like they were asking tips on like, how do you deal with that? How do you like deal with like meeting people and like maybe them not liking your idea? And I was like, yo, you know what the easiest thing to do is like go to a bar every Friday night and try to talk to a stranger. You know?
No,
what I mean?
Come on. That's hard.
That's pretty hard.
But it is. But it's like if you start to practice that muscle, it's like you start to get used to like, well, the worst they're gonna say is like, I don't talk to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
or it's security.
Like, yeah, or it's, I mean, don't be creepy about it, but it's one of those things where I think you can, and again, I also grew up with psychologist parents. So it's like the self-worth thing has always been a conversation in my head. And I try to be very focused about my mental health because I think it will kill you if you don't, if you can't do this in the right way. But yeah, it's just about like, it's the reps, right? Like that's, I mean, reps, like practice reps and like getting that stuff.
Yeah. Just hearing no a bunch of times. Yeah. I think about how we get turned down. I have a spreadsheet about it, like so often that how like, you know, my parents like applied for a handful of jobs.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They worked at like a few jobs their whole lives.
Right. That's why your parents are always like, I don't know why more people aren't talking about your short film. It's amazing. You know, it's like, because mom, everyone hates everyone.
On the rejection front though. Yeah. It's funny. We've started posting more on social media and I saw a comment today from someone on YouTube that just said, it was like me talking about writing. And the comment was something like, pack it up, Buster. Something like that. It's like so mean. It's so concise. He's probably talking about me. And I know better than to read the comments. I've been working on the internet for 20 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was born in the darkness. Yeah. And I just, you know, started reading the comments again, and Oren has been engaging with people. He's been engaging with trolls, and Oren was the person who said, "You know that you're connecting when strangers are hating on you." Like that's for sure.
Yeah. Negative reviews means you've broken past your friend group.
Yeah. And it means you have like to the public, like you're not a real enough person that it's like
no one's worried about hurting our feelings.
Like no, this person
they don't even think we're reading the comments.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Very similar thing happened recently where I was like discovered that the documentary we made for Hulu was on Letterboxd. I was like,
I
was like, like for like a week, I was like, I can't do it. Like I can't. And I did it. And I was like,
of course you did.
I did 100. Like like I'm surprised it took that long, but it was one of those things where a lot of the notes were like, if I was doing it, this is what I would have done. You know what I mean? It's like, if I was making this movie, it would have been a totally different movie. And it's like, okay, man, well, like, go make your movie. But it's like,
you can't make a movie in your mom's basement, bro.
Pack it up, Buster. Let's start using that now. It's like an idea.
Pack it up, Buster. Oh, man. Yeah. But do you think, though, that having been hardened by passes and no's from Hollywood so much, do you think that if that lens can be applied to reading the comments, or do you think it's a different experience?
I mean, I think you have to. I kind of assume that everyone who's writing a comment, well-meaning or not, is trying to like has the worst intentions. Like that's just kind of how I feel about the internet. You know what I mean? So I think if you go into it with that spirit, it gives you a little bit of a shield. But it's like, we are also human. I don't want people to think I'm a robot. Like I do have feelings. You know what I mean? And like,
it's a bummer.
Look, like anybody who knows me, it's like, I like don't not have a healthy ego. You know what I mean? It's like, there are things that do hurt, but I think you got to give it context. You know what I mean? If my homie's like shitting on my work, then like that hurts.
Sure.
But if it's like real man, like 3445 on like, with just like a blue avatar, like, right.
I know that guy. He's kind of he's kind of smart.
Oren volleyed back and forth with him.
I have discussed quite a few things with him.
Somebody called Oren a bootlicker.
Did they?
They said boot kisser. So like,
not even. No, it was. Do you know Kelly Christensen? Did you ever work with him, producer?
Yeah.
It was that one, right?
Yeah.
He was saying, we did this whole segment. So I've worked with him a bunch. I really like him as a producer, and he does this thing where like we work on a Target shoot, and he'll buy me a Target.
Oh yes, I saw this. Yes, yeah.
So people left a comment saying like, "Oh, why are you like bootlicking the client like with is inauthentic garbage or whatever?"
First of all, the client's the one who's hiring you and paying the bills, and like you know what I mean. But that goes to the thing I was saying earlier. It's like, I think a sign of success is like a return customer. You know what I mean? It's not getting the job; it's getting the second job. But I was watching that clip on Instagram, and I do a similar thing sometimes, but with my nails, because I get my nails painted. So like we were doing a Taco Bell shoot recently, and I did like Taco Bell nails, where it was like fire sauce and mild sauce and like the Taco Bell logo. Cool. And to you guys' point, it's like, like the little bit of like brownie points that buys you might get you an extra shot at the end of the day. It might get you, you know what I mean? Like,
and it's fun.
It's fun.
You're reminded the Taco Bell color palette is incredible.
It's fantastic.
It's so good.
But it's also not ass kissing. It's like if someone was like, "Hey, I want you to come work at my school," right? And you'd be like, "Oh, what does your school teach? What do they do? What do they like? What do people wear there?" Like, you try to integrate your thinking into what they're. When you work with the Taco Bell agency and the Taco Bell client, and all they're thinking about is Taco Bell all day long, and you want them to feel comfortable with you, then you're like, "Hey, by the way, I'm also thinking about this stuff." You know?
It's one of those things. I have this theory that there's a certain generation of like, it's like my generation, our generation of like film school kids that kind of learned a lot of early directing lessons from like DVD special features.
100%.
And there's like a lot of video directors being assholes and dicks. And it's like, that's the thing you thought you were supposed to do. You know what I mean? And no one ever talks about the other part, like the
Thank the Paul Feig, Freaks and Geeks audio commentaries.
And I think the stuff that you guys are doing, and like the kind of podcast culture in general, where like people are kind of like bringing people behind the curtain to be like, it's not this like Stanley Kubrick like making you do 100 takes. Like that's not the gig. You know what I mean? It's more complex than that.
Well, and also I think that there are those people who are screamers, and then there's like, your Mark Romanics or your David Finchers who are notorious for being meticulous, but I think that like doing 100 takes can be misinterpreted as cruel or egotistical or something. And it's kind of like, look, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, it works.
And those guys have all, and also people work with them for decades.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that there are like other infamous directors who like, we don't mention in the same sentence anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. 100%.
Yeah. I do wonder, I mean, in commercials, this happens all the time where you do like 50 takes of something because the agency's like, I don't know, maybe just try it a few different ways. And it's like, the line is thank you,
or they're like, just let him improv a little bit. And improv what?
And then the actors are like, thank you.
That's thank you. And I'm like, I've got it. Actually.
But Fincher somehow will take Brad Pitt, and do 100 takes and somehow take 92 is better than take 7. Sure. I don't know how, how do you?
I don't know how you tell the difference, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just keep track of it. It's like, are you just like, the first 30 are just like warm-ups, so you're not even looking at that stuff, you know what I mean? Or it's like,
unless you're like workshopping on camera, right? Unless you're like, now fine, what did that make you feel?
Doesn't strike me as a guy who's workshopping.
No, he knows.
Well, no, if he knew, he could probably direct Brad Pitt to do it by take 5, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't. But I think there's this story that I can't remember who's telling. It might have been maybe Robert Downey Jr. or like one of the guys in Zodiac, and they were talking about like Fincher doing these like massive long shots on Zodiac and realized that like he's looking at every single thing in the frame and he's just like turning an extra, just like a little bit this way, a little bit that way. And it's like a kind of God's eye view of a thing that when you've done it and you've earned it, you know what I mean? It's like your brain can kind of expand to that place. Yeah, I think it's hard for us as commercial directors, especially in the economy that we're in right now, where like agencies are trying to get you to shoot like 5 different commercials in one day. You know what I mean? In like an 8 to 10 hour day, and like not wanting to pay overtime. That like you have to have that meticulousness in another way.
Yeah, and Fincher still fixes everything in post on top of that. Like he'll mix and match takes and all that stuff. Yeah. Well, I know we have to wrap up pretty soon. I was just going to ask kind of. Hopefully this isn't too open-ended of a question, but I'm curious, you guys started working on Broadway promos at AKA you realized you wanted to direct them as well instead of just concepting them. You kind of left and started this directing career. You got reps, you've done a movie, you've worked with a lot of athletes, you've done docu stuff for TV. Were you anywhere before art class commercials? Or did you go straight to art class?
No, we were kind of like hip pocketed at Derby for a little bit, but it wasn't like we weren't doing a lot of stuff there. The art class thing happened mostly because COVID happened. And when Broadway shut down, AKA furloughed a lot of people and put us on half salary. So that like killed our non-competes. And when we did that, we were able, I literally went to the AICP website and emailed every single production company. Like it set up a wire drive like that day. And I was like, we're open for business. Who wants us?
Wait, dude, you emailed every company. Are you exaggerating?
I'm not exaggerating. Like every single production company on the AICP website, like I emailed their EP or head of production and I was like, we're Jams and Bash. Here's a reel of 8 spots. Like we've been working in Broadway. We are available to work right now. And not for nothing, it was the summer of 2020, people needed Black directors as well. So I saw an opportunity in the market to maybe they will listen to our voice, you know what I mean? And it worked. We got,
how many meetings?
We got 10, genuine, we're interested. We got a bunch of you guys aren't there yet emails, which I thought were really nice. And then we took maybe 5 meetings and it came down to 3 different production companies. We ended up going with our class then.
This was before you did the Lion King spot.
Yes. Yeah. Before we did Lion King spot.
Yeah. Which if you go to jamsandbash.com, I mean, you have all your work is awesome, but a lot of us, I have a spot that basically leveled up my career after. What I was pitching on before that spot and what I was pitching on after. Sure. And for you guys, that spot really...
It was a big one.
I mean, it won awards that everyone talked about.
Yeah, and that was, again, a repeat client that trusted us. And they came to us with an idea. They wanted to do a short film. And we were like, okay, let's do it like this. Let's shoot it big on the Alexa 65 and really... And they trusted us to do these things because we had built a relationship with them that allowed us to basically level up. you know?
Yeah.
So do you have advice for people that are, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that are like, well, I've done all these recreations for, History Channel, or I've done all these like training videos, or I've done all these like really high-end corporate videos or something, or lifestyle stuff on my Sony A7S. But you guys were kind of in a niche, and now you guys are general market. I mean, you're doing ESPN stuff, you're doing Taco Bell, like you're kind of working on these big brands. How do you go from this niche market to say like, hey, world, let's direct a bunch of stuff?
You have to find people that will be your champion. You know what I mean? People that are in the business, whether they are reps, other directors, producers, that will like essentially take a flyer on you and vouch for you. You know what I mean? I think for us, that was Rebecca, that was Vince, you know what I mean? That was like the people at our class that were like, I see the potential in this to like take, these guys have the juice to like, to take it to a brand space, and they could sell the reel in a way. But it was hard, and we needed other people saying our name up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't remember the adage, but someone's like, for every person needs like 3 people talking about them to like really have a thing like click in the right way.
I've never heard that adage, but it's,
and I don't remember where I heard that.
True.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like, and we had really good champions. Like we met Rebecca at Derby originally, and then she was the one who replied to my email at our class, and she has been like the biggest champion of our career. Like just screaming our names from the rooftops, and that has helped a lot.
And she is so good at taking a reel that doesn't have the work on it and convincing you that it has the building blocks for all the pieces. The perfect building blocks for the job that you have,
Well, and that kind of leads me to, I guess, my final question, because the jump from the Broadway stuff into the general market, where was your reel? Like, what do you feel like it was ready? Like,
I thought it was ready. I mean, technically it was, it looked, if you took the brand off, like if it didn't say Broadway, you know what I mean? It could have been kind of anything. Like we'd really started to do a thing where we were taking the cameras outside of the theater. I sent Oren a spot that we did, like the first spot I won a Clio for. It was for Matilda, the musical, and it was like essentially people dancing to a song from the show called When I Grow Up. But the whole concept was like, this is how you feel after you've seen the show. You can't stop dancing, right? And we shot it at people in the streets, like doing all these things, and it kind of feels like a lifestyle spot a little bit. You know what I mean? Or it has some comedy in it. And if you don't know it's for Matilda the musical, it doesn't have that like Broadway stigma on it. So that was kind of the move. And there was even a version of our reel very early on that we would cut the end cards, like, and just kind of show you the like 27 seconds of like, here's the work. Like ignored, like try not to like, yes, this was on local TV. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the problem that we had was we had too many different things. We had comedy, we had dance, we had drama, and like no one knew how to sell us. It wasn't until we really, like I said, we did this brand work with Sunday Afternoon, and we honed in on comedy and kind of specifically sports comedy for our advertising work. And that's when things took the next jump. You know what I mean?
So now are you pitched as like a sports comedy duo?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Comedy and sports comedy, celebrity comedy. I mean, another thing that we did have on a reel from Broadway is like ton of famous faces. You know what I mean? It's like, I had a reel that had like Robert De Niro, Mindy Kaling, Sam Rockwell, Lawrence Fishburne. You know what I mean? Bryan Cranston. And it's like, we literally just had a montage at the beginning of those faces. You know what I mean? So people trusted that we could talk to actors, which got us the celebrity work. And that was kind of the pitch at the beginning.
You know what's so funny is like, I think directing those people is so much easier. Than directing.
You mean somebody who's been on TV and the stage for our entire lives, every single week in and week out is good at acting?
Oscar winners are easier to direct than non-union kid that just moved to LA.
The person who's...
It's weird how that works, right?
So weird.
It's like I was at the St. Louis Film Festival and I heard this panel where this guy was saying that he thinks the best editing Oscar, it shouldn't go to like David Fincher's editor, Steven Soderbergh's editor. It should go to the editor that took the worst footage and turned it into the best movie. It turned a C- into a B+, not that turned an A into an A+. That's like how directing celebrities is. It's like, you don't need any skills to direct Bryan Cranston. You just turn the camera on.
You just got to look nice. It's got to be in focus. You know?
I have a clarifying question.
Yeah.
That montage, did you put that in Reels? Did you just do like a little sizzle basically?
We did a little sizzle that was like 15 seconds and it ended with our name. And then that flowed into the commercials. But it was like the best way to get people to like not think about like, this is all Broadway. It's like, oh, they do celebrity. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's like we continued to refine that and the reel got built up and we're doing a lot of ESPN work. So it became sports. And it's like, we're also both big sports nuts. So it just kind of like naturally made sense.
Made
you know, can I tell you a Rebecca Niles trick, which I'm sure she didn't make up, but I saw her do it the first time, is when she made my reel for BarkBox where I didn't have any dogs on my reel. And this was 100% dog job.
And you're doing dogs all the time now.
Now I'm like the dog guy, unfortunately, unintentionally. I mean, it's good because the dog companies have budgets.
There's no low budget dog food commercials. They're all their full budget.
But, you know, I'm like, I'd love to work with a human. Dogs are not Bryan Cranston. You know, they don't do what you ask them to. But she always had in the wire drive, you know, so a lot of reels for people that don't know are like a link to a wire drive or Simian or some system where you can select, or like even a Vimeo showcase. Yeah. Here's 5 clips that represent Jams and Bash's work, Matt's work, whatever it is. But you can also include stills. And so on like my first reels that would go out, there would be a still that would have like a quick bio, which would be like, Oren is comedy VFX director. But it would have all these stills. Like, here's Pete Davidson, here's Rebel Wilson, here's this thing, you know? And it was just one image that kind of was like, hey, trust this guy. He's done a lot of cool stuff with a lot of cool people. And it's kind of like the equivalent of like a speed reel of celebrity faces he worked with, even if they don't appear at all in any of the rest of your clips.
That's like, I got that same trick from her. We still use it to this day. Like, we have a one sheet that has like our bio on one side, and then it's got, I think right now it's like Michael B. Jordan, Lionel Messi, Freddie Gibbs, Jake Gyllenhaal, and like Will Smith and Jimmy Butler. And it's like,
never heard of any
you know
of
what
them.
I mean?
Yeah,
and it works. It's like one of those things that like she was so good at, like, that's how you can like get the attention and the trust, you know? But great Rebecca Niles trick.
Yeah. You know what else I love about that is that like we all probably have footage with a celebrity that like doesn't ever make it onto a reel. Maybe the spot's not great, or it's like I did a Samantha Bee thing that's like quite political.
Right.
And so it's never going to be on a dog food commercial reel.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's cool that I worked with Samantha Bee. I might cut a 15. That's cool, man.
You know what?
It's like, I think you can just manipulate it to make it work for what you need it for.
You know what you should do if you're just starting out? You should go to celebrity meet and greets, pay to see them, shoot some iPhone footage of them.
Go on Cameo.
You're like, hey, they're like, do you want to be in the selfie? You're like, no, just can you just say like, Coca-Cola? And then, I mean, now with AI, you can just change them to say Coca-Cola. And then it's like, you have all this footage, all these celebrities you shot, and it's totally true. But you did pay. Yeah, I mean, Cameo, I guess, isn't a bad idea. But I don't know if you can get Taylor Swift in a Cameo.
Yeah, somebody, Boston Rob. Oh, what's he like to work with?
Yeah, John Lovitz, I think we can probably get him.
He's like one of the Love Island folks.
Yeah, there you go. Kaylor? Kendall?
Yeah. Well, Jamaal, if people want to know what's going on with you guys, Jams and Bash, what you guys have anything cool coming up that people should tune into, or just follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. My Instagram is just my name, Jamaal Parham, and then at Jams and Bash is our kind of professional one. But
Jamaal is Jamaal.
Yes,
Parham, Parham, Parham.
And you know, I post a lot on there, and especially about like work and thoughts on filmmaking and shit like that. You know, we've got a project that we worked on this year with Chase and these gentlemen called Earn Your Leisure that do like a kind of financial planning podcast. And we did a docuseries. It's coming on Hulu in a couple weeks that just follows them around the country talking to Gen Z kids about getting credit cards for the first time. And it was something that was like started as a bank job, but became like kind of really cool in a different way, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's out. We've got some movies we're working on. Hopefully, you know, we can talk about soon, and, you know, other stuff in the works. You can see our TV show we directed, Pause with Sam J, is still on HBO Max. 2 seasons of that.
You mean HBO? What's it called?
Or HBO Max.
No, HBO Max.
It's
HBO
HBO
Max.
Max.
HBO Max again?
See, it's confusing though.
It's the HBO. I thought
no, it's HBO Max. They added the HBO
It
back
was
on.
Max and they put back HBO. I liked HBO Go.
No, come on.
I
still have that tile on my
just an
iPad
app.
because like that's the guy I am. That's
Yeah,
it's HBO Go and HBO Now.
You say HBO Go or HBO Go. It's a little fun.
Buy one, get one. Yeah.
But yeah, we've got that and our doc that we did for Hulu last summer on breakdancing, breaking on the one. But there's work out there.
That's awesome. You got a minute to endorse something with us?
Yeah, sure.
Unpaid endorsements.
Okay, so my unpaid endorsement is a TikTok creator named Chris Moran with 2 underscores afterward. He goes by Creative Breakdowns. And they're just like straight up, TikTok like editing tutorials. But he does a breakdown of the Vox look, like how they do their typography, how they do their sound cues, how they like normalize all of the different archival footage across everything to make it feel homogenous. Just like little bite size, but really like practical, clear, concise, and fun. And I've always loved the Vox aesthetic. I think it's so clean. I think it might be the best like animation style on our YouTube channel, probably ever. Like it's just so elegant and great. And so he's got a whole series on, how they do their typography, their sound, all that stuff. So Chris Moran with 2 underscores, Creative Breakdowns, will get you there. Specifically the Vox stuff is really, really good. Yeah.
This is cool. I just followed him. Wait, Creative Breakdowns is his name on Instagram or?
I follow him on TikTok, Oren, so I wouldn't know what.
Oh, sorry.
Jamal, what you got?
I have a book that I just picked up a couple weeks ago called The Black Pack by Artel Great. It's about Eddie Murphy, Paul Mooney, Robert Townsend, Keenan Ivory Wayans, and Arsenio Hall in the late 80s, early 90s, and like kind of the comedy revolution, cultural revolution that they led through their work from like Hollywood Shuffle through Boomerang, Coming to America, In Living Color, the Arsenio Hall Show, like all of these things. And I'm really like a nerd when it comes to like comedy history. And like, I really love digging into biographies and like on this quest to just kind of like learn from all of those masters, you know what I mean? Like, and not just Black comics, but all comics. And that exploration led me to this book. It's about subtitle Comedy, Race, and Resistance. And it's like such just like a fascinating portrait of how they made America laugh in a way that we hadn't really seen before. And I just think it's fascinating. So
yeah, that sounds excellent.
That's awesome. That is a really good endorsement.
Yeah.
Black Pack. BLACKPACK.
Yep.
It's
by Artel Great.
It falls into like, from my guess, that like that category of like pretty thick hardbound comedy books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's like, that's a Christmas present to me.
It's really interesting. Like it started last summer where it's like I read the Mike Nichols biography and like that kind of led me down a rabbit hole, and I got into Sam Watson did a book called Improv America, and that led me to Paul Mooney's book, which then you know what I mean. And it's like it keeps spiraling, and it's like one of the most fascinating kind of like reading journeys I've been on for the last couple of years, and this is the latest one in that series.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that also because like I feel like Eddie Murphy in particular is a great example of a person who like I know is iconic, but we're young enough to have just seen, like, I think of him from like The Clumps and like, and like, I know he's revolutionary, but I missed, I was just like, you know what I mean? So,
and it's,
I grew up, Coming to America is like my,
Coming to America
for sure.
But also just like, I saw Raw at the New Beverly a couple months ago. They showed it on 35 and just like, oh wait, they made a comedy film on 35 millimeter that was like one of the best-selling movies in
was
America.
A phenomenon.
Like that's insane.
Oh,
and then you dig into this book, and it's not just about the output, but it's actually the collaboration of how they all kind of worked together, and like how that their culture and upbringing and kind of like the way that they thought about comedy just permeated. And like you look at something like In Living Color, which then gave us like Jim Carrey and like, you know what I mean, like all the things that the Wayans have come out with, and Eddie Murphy's career since then. But it's just like, it's really fascinating, you know, I mean, seeing that comedy evolution.
Awesome. I have to check it out. Kaplan, what you got, buddy?
I have 2 endorsements that are not nearly as culturally relevant or interesting as your guys's, but you know, it's kind of my speed.
Do you
have any pets, Jamal?
Not currently. I had a cat who passed sadly about a year ago.
I'm sorry.
I'm a pet guy.
So there is anyone that has a dog. I assume with cats it's the same. You got to get flea medicine that you give them, either these tablets or things. Matt, as a person who doesn't have a dog, how much do you think flea medicine for a dog costs?
I'm going to guess $50 a month.
Okay. That is a lot. That's a lot
of money. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm like comparing it with diapers. You're just like, I wish I didn't have to pay for these.
Well, the fact that it even occurs to you to compare how much it costs to keep a dog alive versus a baby is insane. But so we use this tick or flea medicine called Simparica Trio that a lot of people use. And for 6 tablets, so if you have 2 dogs, this lasts for 3 months, it is $190. So it's kind of a lot, so it could be $60 a month if you had $30 a month per dog. Anyway, I was hanging out with my brother-in-law. He was like, dude, you got to order the dog medicine from New Zealand. And I was like, what? There's no way. And he's like, yeah, go to discountpetmeds.biz. And I was like, dude, there is no way this is for real.
Yeah.
At discountpetmeds.biz, can I tell you how much I paid for this Simparica? The exact same drug, which, by the way, in America, you need a prescription from your vet if you order from New Zealand or wherever this place was. I mean, they shipped from Shanghai, so who knows? But, oh God, who knows what sort of tariffs issues I just brought up.
Yeah.
But it was $75 instead of, it was more than $100 less. It's like a 60% off. $75 instead of 2 days shipping. It took 2 weeks. Sure. But yeah, I mean, it totally worked. My dogs are still alive. They're taking this. It's the same, same exact box that I get here in the US. Discountpetmeds.biz.
Do you have to give them the medicine like consistently the whole way through? My dogs just had fleas. I had
growing up, I don't know. I mean, I guess there is just the fleas, but I think because we are living, in urban environments and our houses are inside, they're in our beds, and it's not like the dog you leave outside in the yard that's like
my dog was
raccoons.
An outside dog, and I gave it a bath once a week. That was
little
chore.
Oh, well, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But anyhow, so there's that. My other kind of stupid, obvious recommendation is, Matt, I'm sure you saw on Instagram, I got a new Dyson.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Dyson V11. You and I were Dyson V8 guys.
Mm-hmm.
We even had an endorsement about a place that fixes Dyson V8s. But what happened to my V8 happened to everyone's V8. Just the battery just like lasts shorter and shorter and shorter. And I replaced it. It was expensive. And now, I can't make it through an entire car vacuuming session without the batteries dying. So I got the V11. It's bigger. It's got better suction. And the battery lasts like way longer, like 3 times as long as the V8. So I like it, but my endorsement is if you know that you want to buy, there's certain things like a Dyson that if you know you want one, you just gotta target like Amazon Prime Day, Black Friday. Like there's these things that it's nice to keep a list of things that you want, but you're not in a rush to get. And when these dates come. I mean, I know it's obvious, but if you want a Dyson, it'll be like 40% off, like 3 or 4 times a year. I got mine on Amazon Prime week, but yeah, enjoying it so far. And in case everyone listening is wondering, all the attachments for the V8 work on V11 and vice versa.
That was actually going to be a question I was going to have.
Is that really?
It's cross-compatible.
Yeah.
No, because I have a V8 now, but I am having that issue where it's like, this isn't going to last much longer.
Yeah.
I think I saw, this is how good the TikTok algorithm is. I definitely saw a period of time where like dads were like modding their Dysons to take like DeWalt's batteries, like power tool batteries.
Oh wow.
That's
like, you got me good, TikTok.
I got a V8 with an Anton Bauer and a PL mount. Pretty rad.
Exactly.
Click it on the back.
You can hot swap.
I got those new Signature Prime dog hair brushes.
I would love it if everything was PL mount and I could just invest in one battery ecosystem.
That'd be great.
100%. It would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, USB-C is like the beginning of that.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, this has been Dad Coded.
Yeah. If you want to tell us about what sucks in your life, email us at justshootitpod@gmail.com. If you have any comments or questions for Jamaal or Jams Bash, the duo, feel free to send them to us. We'll forward them on. You can find us across all social media at justshootitpod. I'm on Instagram at okaplan with a K.
And I'm at Mr. Matt Enlow. This episode was edited by Kevin Oyang. Thanks, Kevin. Our social media is done by Lily Bouvier and produced by Tyler Small. And you're listening to music provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist Jazar. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.